Morning everyone! So today's video is going to be a daily routine video with my pets, which has been requested quite a long time ago and I've been meaning to do it, and now we've got quite a lot more pets and people are a bit confused maybe what animals I do and don't have. So my morning does start with a little cuddle in bed with this guy. So Benji doesn't sleep in the bed, he's got a bed of his own in the kitchen, but in the morning he does paw the door and come in for a cuddle. So normally I would turn Sheldon's lamp on in the morning, but because it's a really lovely day, come on then girly, good girl, I'm going to pop her outside. So people have asked if it's traumatising for me to carry her outside, and to be honest, she doesn't seem too stressed, does she? And she knows that she's going outside into her outdoor enclosure and she's going to get to sort of stomp around and eat whatever she likes. So this is her outdoor enclosure at the moment. So I also need to change Sheldon's water in here. It's absolutely disgusting. It gets like this every couple of days. It just sort of turns green. So I do need to dig that out and change it. Someone is impatient. So I've just rinsed off her water sort of tray and all the stones that go in it. I sort of arrange it so it's like a really stony area, so this is basically to help her climb in and out. So I'll just pop that in there. Sheldon, you're going to need to move out the way, my love, otherwise it will land on your head. So then I just refill her water with a watering can with some fresh water, and because it's been really hot recently I've had to water her enclosure every day just to keep the plants healthy and try not to water her at the same time. And then she has a munch away in her enclosure, so this is some plantain that she's eating here. So I do also pick other things from out and about to give to her just to keep the variety, so she's not just eating the same sort of 3 or 4 plants every day. So I've also included some footage of what I sort of do on a cold day or a rainy day, or sort of throughout the winter when she's not hibernating, just so you can see what having a tortoise entails on a day-to-day basis when the weather's not amazing. So in the morning I turn her light on. We used to have it on a timer, I don't know where that's gone. Obviously that makes it a little bit easier, and then I go around and sort of pick what I can find for her. This is a bit more difficult in the winter, there's not as many things readily available, and a lot of things I grow myself in tubs, but I sort of just go around the garden and she eats generally sort of weeds, grasses, flowers. So here I am just giving her some of them, and then I take away sort of her old dried up nasty old things from the day before that she hasn't eaten. I also put on a supplement sort of every sort of few times I feed her. I sprinkle on a little bit of Nutribol, which is a calcium and vitamin D supplement, and yeah, that just helps to sort of recreate her natural diet a little bit better. And then it's time to feed the dog. So he has sort of a tinned wet food and also some dry food as well. He's not the sort of dog that does overeat, so the biscuits I leave out all day for him to sort of pick on as and when he wants, and the wet food, he's quite fussy and he only eats it if he's really hungry. Quite a lot of the time he does just leave it, so he's not the sort of dog that is necessarily overfed very easily. So I know this looks like a lot of food, and he is quite a small dog. He's only 5.5 kilos. And then we do take him on a walk, which can be, to be honest, loads of different places. We're really lucky where we live that we've got such a variety of walks that we can do with him. So we can go to the woods, or we can go to the beach. We can sort of go, yeah, loads of places really. Sometimes he goes by himself and sometimes he'll go with a friend. We also do some walks off lead and some on lead. Obviously you have to be really careful when there's livestock that your dogs are kept under control. Benji is not that trustworthy yet around livestock, he's only a puppy, so if there's any sheep or anything in the field he is on a lead. So here he is on a glorious day at the beach. The beach is only sort of a half an hour drive from us, so we are really, really lucky where we live. So we have had to be more careful recently with walking Benji because it's been unusually hot here in the UK, which none of us are acclimatised to. It does mean that we've had to be really careful and pick our times. So either exercising mornings or evenings when it's a little bit cooler, sort of avoiding the heat of the day, or walking him in shaded spots like the woods where it's not as exposed to the sun and it doesn't get as hot. But some days we've just chosen not to walk him at all. And that may sound a bit mean, but dogs don't die from not going on a walk, whereas they can die from heat stroke. And for me, it's just not worth it. If I feel like it could be dangerous to take him out, I'm not going to. He can just sort of potter around the farm and I'm not going to force him to go on a walk. So because he's a young dog as well and he is long haired, and I do feel like he could be more susceptible to the heat. So for me, it's just better safe than sorry, and it's not worth risking it. And like I've said in previous videos, we do live on a farm, so we do have lots of land around us. So if we're having a lazy day, we just sort of take him out around the fields and he has a play around there. Obviously we don't have any livestock on our land, so he's safe to sort of roam around and do what he wants. So it's we're an arable farm, so we've got just crops and then we've got the livery as well, but there's no livestock, so he can't hurt sort of racing around the fields. So here's a couple of clips with him playing with his friend Diggory. Sometimes I often try and take him on walks sort of with other people when they're going, so he gets that socialisation as well and gets to play with other dogs. It makes it a bit more exciting for him and a lot more fun. He is a bit of a wuss and doesn't properly swim, unlike Diggory, who loves it. So he basically just runs around in circles. He'll go in about up to his ankles, but that's generally his limit. And then when we get home, he's normally disgusting, so we normally have to give him a bath. We don't have a bath in our house, so it's sort of a shower, but especially with places like the woods, there's been a scare with Alabama rot, sort of in the UK. I'm not sure about anywhere else, so it's something that we've been really conscious of, sort of bathing him every time he comes in, washing off any mud or anything, to sort of help stop that as much as possible. So yeah, we give him a quick hose off and then we dry him. So we do dry him with the hairdryer, and he thinks this is so much fun, and he normally tears around the house straight after, rolls on all the carpets. He's a bit of a monkey, but he thinks it's a really, really fun game. And then because of his fur type, he is a poodle mix, so he has got quite a tricky coat, so it does require an awful lot of grooming. So we do brush him every day. We've got several types of brushes. We go over him first with the detangler, which is a sort of a human hairbrush that I just bought from eBay, which he doesn't, I bought it for me, but it won't go through my hair. So he doesn't mind that one too much, and that gets rid of most of the tangles. And then we go over him with the slicker brush. We also have a mat splitter. We've got quite a lot of different products that we have to use on his hair to keep him tangle free. Obviously we don't want him getting tangly because then it pulls and it becomes quite uncomfortable for him, so he does require a lot of grooming. And then today his friend Doug came to play, and Doug and Benji grew up together. They were puppies together. Doug belongs to my stepbrother and they've got a really, really close relationship, so they just play fight all day. They are the best friends ever. They get so excited to see each other. And then while I'm on bathing, I give Sheldon a soak every few days to sort of keep her hydrated. She's not very good at hydrating herself. She doesn't drink really that often, so I have to sort of force soak her. I also spray down the plant in her enclosure because it is a live plant that I've somehow managed to keep alive, which is pretty amazing for me. I also give the rest of her enclosure a little bit of a spray down every few days to prevent it from becoming too dusty. So here she is having a soak. I just use a Tupperware tub with sort of maybe an inch and a half of water, just so it sort of comes up to, I guess, the base of her neck. Obviously not so much that her head's underwater, but enough that it's sort of covering her legs. And then I just sort of wet her down all over and then leave her to sit in there for a bit. This is quite often where she does her business as well. It obviously helps to like loosen things up. So I use sort of warm water, not cold and not hot, just sort of a nice temperature. And then, yeah, I leave her sit in there. She'll sit in there for a while quite happily. But if I leave her in there too long, she does get agitated, and that's when I have to bring her out. And Benji always has to inspect what's going on. So then I take Sheldon out and dry her off for a bit. I normally sit with her for a bit as sort of her little bonding time. And she, yeah, has a sort of stomp around and dries off. So now we're on to Blue. So if you watched my last video, then you will know that we brought home Blue, who is a llama. So I give him a little bit of food every day. It's a llama and alpaca mix. It's sort of a muesli type thing covered in what I assume is molasses. It's meant as a sort of complete diet, but I use it just as a sort of opportunity to bond with him. Obviously he's got access to grazing all the time, so it's more as sort of half a supplement and half for me working on him on taming. So he will now come and eat out of the bucket, which is amazing, and if I go into the field and he thinks it's food time, he will come running up. So we're doing really well with him. And yes, we are looking into getting him a friend. I know a lot of people on my last video said that llamas are sort of herd animals, and I do know that, and we are looking at getting him a friend. I didn't want to rush into getting another one because obviously getting Blue was a bit spur of the moment, so I feel like there's a lot of research I need to do before I sort of get another one as well. But I am, yeah, keeping an eye out and looking around for a friend for him, whether that's another llama or maybe a couple of alpacas. We are sort of looking into our options and doing a lot of research. So I'm not planning on keeping him alone forever. We are planning on getting a friend for him. So he is currently living in the field directly behind our house, which does mean that I can see him out of both bedroom windows, which is really exciting. Excuse the windows, they do look grubby, but I promise I have cleaned them. The double glazing is blown. And today is poo picking day. So I don't poo pick every day. This is probably a weekly thing, I would say. But today I felt like poo picking, so here I am. Benji likes to help, which means try and eat it while I'm trying to pick it up, which is really helpful. He just likes to follow me around and be doing everything that I'm doing. But here I am picking away. So at the moment we're also looking after some more animals. So the school, oh, this is the part where I get stampeded by ponies. So these are some of the Shetland ponies, and whenever I go into the field they think I've got food, which I don't. Sorry ponies. So these are some sheep. They belong to the school by us. They've got an animal care department and they have these two sheep. I've forgotten, one of them's called Elliot and I've forgotten the other one's name. But at the moment I'm sort of looking after them for the summer holidays. So it basically just consists of topping up their water, which is easier said than done with these helpers. So the sheep don't have a trough in their field, so I basically just dip it out of one trough and just pour it into a bucket for them. And then that's pretty much all the care I have to do for these guys. They're just grazing. They're on a bit of a diet actually, because they do tend to get a little bit chunky when they're at the school. I think a lot of the kids feed them some of their packed lunch, so they do come here for a bit of a slim down. So yeah, like I say, it's pretty much just filling up their water and checking that they're okay and they've got shade and they're happy. So there they are. They are gorgeous. They're so friendly. They will run up to you and sort of sniff you and chew your shoes. They are lovely. I'm quite attached to them. And Benji has also built up a really strange relationship with one of the Shetlands. I think Benji thinks he's a dog and will let him sniff his bottom and nuzzle his tummy, and he'll lick his muzzle. So yeah, these two are a bit of a weird pair, and you just can't go through a gateway without there being a horse coming up to say hello. This one's Sparky and he is lovely. So some of these guys are on tracks, so it looks like they don't have any grazing and that we're being really mean, but some of them are very prone to laminitis, so they have got sort of reduced amount of grazing. So now we're on to the guinea pigs by the looks of it. So I'm just cleaning out their bottles. Sort of every couple of days I give their bottles a scrub with a bottle brush, because they do tend to get a bit green, especially I found if the water bottles are in a window. If they're sort of getting natural light to them, they seem to build up with green quicker. So I just give them a good wash up out and fill them up. And then I just put them in their cage, and that pink tape there is unicorn tape. I'm pretty excited about that. I'll have to show you guys in my next cage tour. And Holly is always the first up. There's Holly, and all 4 water bottles are on the one side now in their sort of kitchen area. I've changed up their cage, so I'll have to do a cage tour soon. But they weren't sort of battling over water bottles, and they're all getting along really well. So I did decide to put them all in one area so I can sort of, yeah, keep the kitchen area a bit more contained. But there's Holly enjoying her fresh water. So then I just top up their food. They've still got a little bit left from last night actually, but I topped it up anyway, and I normally top up their hay as well. I don't think I took a clip of that, but I top up their hay sort of morning and evening and sort of when they need it in between. And here I'm washing out Sheldon's water bowl and Benji's water bowl as well. So every sort of few days I give Sheldon's water bowl a good clean out as well, because that's one that seems to be prone to getting quite disgusting. And this bit's the challenging bit, is getting Sheldon's water bowl to her enclosure without spilling it everywhere. There we go. Every time I spill it everywhere. You think I'd learn just to fill it up in her enclosure, but no. And after I've washed out Sheldon's water bowl, I do wipe the sink down with antibac, and that's because with reptiles you've got to be a little bit careful because they can be carriers of salmonella, and it's my kitchen sink and I don't really want to be mixing salmonella with food. And now we're on to the chicks. So every day I obviously top up their food and their water as well. So I'm not responsible for the big chickens. Obviously if they need doing I will do them, but generally my stepmum looks after the big chicks, the big chickens, and the little chicks are my responsibility. So I just fill them up, sort of they've got a bit of a automatic feeder, it sort of trickles out as they need it. So I top that up and check they've got water, and there they are. And because it's such a lovely day and I've got the day off work, I'm on guinea pig laundry duty. So I do wash their laundry in a pillowcase with a hairband round to try and contain some of the hay and hair from getting into the washing machine and clogging it up. I've got a video on this if you needed more information, but I basically just wash it with washing powder, but no fabric softener, because that sort of inhibits its ability to soak up pee and it sort of pools on top. So I just give them a good shake. I've already brushed them off sort of while I was cleaning the guinea pigs out, but I give it a final shake to get any loose bits off and then put it in the pillowcase. And now we're back to Benji. So I do go to dog training classes with him. I do the Kennel Club's Good Citizenship scheme with him, and I also do an obedience display with him. So altogether I train twice a week with him. I started just because I wanted him to be a good dog. So we started at the puppy training and socialisation, and we've actually worked our way up. We're now training for the platinum. sort of level of the good citizenship scheme. So that's really, really exciting, and he's got way further than I expected, especially considering he's only 1 year old. But he really enjoys training, and so do I, so we've sort of carried it on and said, well, why don't we get as big as we can go, or go as far as we can. So here's a couple of clips of him at training class. And then we also practice at home. So this is training for the platinum class, and we also do some sort of trick training as well. So I've taught him quite a few tricks, so if that's something you'd be interested in seeing, then do let me know in the comments section, and I can make a video on the tricks that Benji can do. I do, like I said, really enjoy training him, and he enjoys learning. He's always keen to learn new things. If he didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it, but he does, and we both love it. So here we go. And every evening the guinea pigs get their salad. So this evening they are having cucumber and lettuce and bell peppers and celery. So they have a bit of a variety, and I try and mix it up a little bit and make sure that they're getting lots of vitamin C. And yeah, I've got more information in sort of diet videos, but here we go. So this is the amount we give for 5 piggies. I also do spot clean their cage, which just means sweeping up sort of any loose poos. It's in between a full cage clean, so I generally do this every day, sometimes twice a day. It really depends. At the moment, because it's summertime, I am a lot more careful because I don't want to attract flies, because then you can end up with fly strike and all sorts. But yeah, I try and keep on top of it and keep their cage looking nice. So here they are enjoying their salad. I am using a different bedding at the moment to my last video. I normally use the Fitch bedding, but they've been out of stock for quite a while, so I had to order some hemp bedding instead. But other than that, everything is pretty much the same. So that is generally pretty much it for the pets. It's slightly vague, and it sort of changes on a day-to-day basis, whether we're cutting nails or someone needs a bath, or so it does change a little bit depending on the day. But Blue, you can see, is getting tired now, and so am I, so I'm going to leave the video here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell to get notified when I upload, and give me a thumbs up and a comment down below if you've got something you'd like to see. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!